Welcome to Coffee in the Swarm, a Project Zion podcast production coming to you from Graceland University, Lamoni, Iowa. The Swarm is our on-campus snack bar in the Newcomb Student Union. This year, our podcast will be co-hosted by campus chaplains Aliyah Farrell and Levi Triplett. I'm Mike Hoffman, campus minister. Coffee in the Swarm is where we interview students at Graceland who are connected to Community of Christ. This episode is about introducing our two new podcast hosts for this year, Aliyah and Levi. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Aliyah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I know you've got a full schedule and we have to make this work because you're headed to softball practice later.
Yes.
Let's find out a little bit about yourselves and share with our listeners about who you are and where you're from. So I guess, Aliyah, why don't you go first? Tell us about where you're from.
So I'm from San Antonio, Texas. It's about 14 hours south of here. And there I went to a humongous high school. There was 680 kids in my graduating class alone.
Wow.
We were a 6A school, so we were like the highest competition. So, I mean, I wasn't able to be as involved there as I wanted to be just because there were so many kids. The competition was so, like, even in academics in the classroom, the competition was so, like, cutthroat. Like, people took it so seriously. You had to step your game up a little bit.
680, what'd you say, 81?
Kids, 680 kids.
680
that walked the stage.
Wow. So all right. And you're from San Antonio, rah.
Yes.
I'm connected to family in the Bandera County area, or was, I don't know, at least historically. So cool. Well, thank you for being here. Levi, tell us about where you're from.
So I am from Joplin, Missouri. Well, originally I was born in South Carolina, but I grew up all my life in Joplin, Missouri. And I went to a little private school called Thomas Jefferson and played sports, and I was pretty involved. I was also a theater kid. My graduating class had 22.
Quite a difference between them. This is great. I mean, I don't know that we planned this out that well, but to have students from such a different background, so very cool.
Yeah. So pretty short little graduating reception.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Well, I went to high school with like 455 in my seniors. It was a senior class, so more like what Aliyah went through. So
I think our graduation took 3 hours total. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I
very
can't
fun.
even imagine that. I think mine took like 45 minutes.
My friends and I like tried to count how many kids we knew.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like 100 out of the 600 we
That's
actually
pretty
knew.
good. Yeah. Well, Graceland's graduation is about 2 hours, I think. It usually starts about 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, and it's over by noon, I think. Or so, yeah, something to look forward to. So I know you're both first-year students or freshman students. So what are your plans? Majors, minors, that kind of thing?
So right now I'm a biology major and a business management minor. I plan to do something in the medical field. I'm not sure like what route I want to take yet. I took the biology route rather than the kinesiology route because the plan right now is physical therapy. And then with a minor in business management with like hopes to run a practice and like kind of just be knowledgeable in the business world because that's helpful.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure yet. So I could go anywhere in the medical field with biology.
Very good.
But yeah, that's the plan
That's the
right
plan.
now, hopefully.
So Levi?
I'm doing nursing. I'm more of a STEM kid, and my dad is also a doctor.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Very cool.
So I kind of have a little bit of a medical background, but really I'm more interested in anything that gives me adrenaline. That's why at the beginning of the summer I was taking flying lessons. So I'm trying to get my pilot's license right now. So hopefully I can somehow incorporate high pressure situations with the medical field, like trauma nursing or something of that nature.
And learning to pilot, I mean, I could imagine, obviously there's pilots that fly for medical reasons.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Yeah. So maybe we'll hire you next year for Campus Ministries to be our airplane pilot.
I would love that. I would love that.
You would love that. So if you're donating money to Campus Ministries out there, probably just kidding. I probably don't want to say that, but anyway, it might be fun. You get an airplane for Campus Ministries that will just fly places. So that's cool. Very good. Well, that's really cool. And I get the whole adrenaline thing. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. So obviously airplanes though, right? I mean, not helicopters or anything like that, or
I mean,
maybe.
I mean, that's always a possibility, but I always
You could like do like airlift. It could be like your own Grey's Anatomy moment. It's fine.
Grey's Anatomy.
Like that's what whenever people say like trauma, I'm like Tim Blade.
I am amazed you know about Grey's Anatomy. Did you watch that growing up?
I still watch it now.
You still watch it? So I mean, it's been on for like 20 years, I think. I don't know.
It's the best show.
My wife and I had watched it for the last 5 years. So yeah, I have to remember my kids are older, and so they don't have the same TV experience I do, but very good. So yeah. Well, we'll get into that later. So tell me about your house experience so far here at Graceland. We've got this really unique housing system. So what houses are you on?
So I'm on Soraya. I'm a sailor, and that has been so fun. So Kayla and Savannah, who are also on Soraya and on Campus Ministries, I went to summer camp, Community of Christ camp in Texas with Kayla since I was like 8 growing up. She's been like an older sister to me. Like when I was coming here, since it is 14 hours away from home, my mom was like, who's gonna look after you? Like she was so nervous. And then one day I was like, Mom, Kayla's gonna look after me. Like she's got it.
And you're talking about Kayla Childress,
yes,
right?
Kayla Childress. Yeah. I was like, Mom, Kayla's gonna look after me. And I don't think she had ever thought about that before. And she was like, oh, like that makes me feel so much better knowing that there's somebody on your hall that's there that we know that's gonna take care of you. But it hasn't been only her that's watched over me. It's been Savannah, it's been Lexi, like our house president. It's been
Is Lexi your house president?
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's been all of them that have kind of looked out for us, and then just like staying involved, like playing I am soccer with everyone, especially our brother house. I think it's just kind of kept me busy from the fact that like I have been homesick already since it is so far, but like staying involved with them and like them kind of not forcing you, but getting you out of your room to do things has been so fun.
Yeah. Levi, what about you?
Yeah, I think I didn't really know anything about the housing system prior to coming to Graceland, but I think I really looked out.
What house are you on?
I'm on Agape.
Oh, okay.
And it seems to me like we're the most rowdy, involved.
Yeah, who's your house president?
My house president is Nico, which is your brother, Aliyah's brother. So,
Aliyah's brother, Nico. Yeah, all right.
He's awesome. He's really involved, and he's
good.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to be on Agape.
That's good. Yeah, and houses, it's so interesting. Houses seem to have personalities, not so much personality of their HPs, but sort of they take on characteristics for a few years and then enough changes. And that's good. I'm glad you're both having good experiences that way. So what brought you to Graceland? I mean, was there anything in particular or any way you got here or?
Yes. So I'm a 3rd generation Graceland kid.
Okay.
And growing up, I was like, I'm never going to Graceland. Like, who would want to go with the Amish, like in that small little town? Because I lived in Texas for so long.
Right.
I lived
and
big.
You lived in San Antonio.
Yeah, I was right in the city. I was always big and bigger. And so it was between here and Texas A&M, which is humongous.
Yeah, right.
Right. So like what a big difference. What a choice I had to make. But I mean, my brother's here. So that kind of also really laid heavily into my decision, because when he came back from his first year of college, if he didn't love it here, I don't think I would have ended up here.
That's fair.
But because he told me all the things he did, he showed his pictures, and he just absolutely loved it. It was like, I want to do that too. And then I went to spec. That's where I met Levi. So we actually knew each other before coming here.
Right. Okay.
And after I went to spec, I just fell in love with Graceland even more, because it's like you can't find the people that are here anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so special and like draws people to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think spec for me, especially last spec, this year's spec had a major impact, because Christian Biot was like,
yeah.
You
How
really
would you describe Christian Biot?
3 words. All you get.
I mean, I know in my era, we would have said he sort of took you under his wing, but that wasn't really what he did.
He kind of like drags you. Until you finally say yes.
Christian to me is kind of the idea guy. He's this isn't a bad thing, but he is the most ADHD person I've ever met. And
it's not a bad thing.
But when Christian wants to do something, he's gonna do it. And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
And you're going with him. Like, it doesn't matter if you want to say no. Like, you're still going.
Yeah. No, and it's really lucky. You're all first year students, including Christian, and Christian is also a member of Campus Ministries this year.
Yeah.
So we're really, really glad to have all three of you on board. But yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So he was sort of influential at Spec.
Yeah. Also, so before I applied to Graceland, maybe like a year before I applied to Graceland, I was like, I'll probably just end up at Mizzou or KU, and like, I mean, it's not as big as A&M. Like, what is that? 80
Too many. I'm glad I'm here.
It was like 30,000.
No, but it would still be big.
It's just
I mean,
a city inside of a city.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not what I really wanted. I kind of wanted more of a tight knit community, like TJ was for me.
Yeah.
So.
And TJ is your high school,
Yes,
right? Thomas
TJ,
Jefferson.
yeah,
That's all right.
Well,
That's why I'm here.
yeah, well, I
Yeah,
remember
understand things.
like the first year Spec, I asked him, I was like, where are you going to college? Because you're in the same group. I was like, and we like became super good friends after the first Spec. And I was like, where are you going to college? And he's like, I'll probably just go to like KU or something. And I was like, no, what are you doing? You have to come here. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And then the next year I asked him at the beginning of the week, I was like, where are you going to college? He was like, I'm still going to KU.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the week, he like failed to tell me or something.
As
I'm like leaving, driving 14 hours to go home, he's like, he's like, I'm going to Graceland. I was like, like, no time to explain, just going to Graceland.
So really,
goodbye.
Spec is where you sort of
yeah.
made the decision, or was that okay? Yeah. Okay, very good. Well, that's pretty cool. So yeah. So I think I don't know. Do you have any more to add about your Graceland experience? That's I don't know. I mean, both of you have talked a lot about that so far. I mean, and as first year students, I don't know what else you might say about that. So tell me a little bit about your church experience back at home. Like, were you involved with Community of Christ, or go to church camps or anything like that? Or I don't know, anything you're interested in telling me about.
Yes, so I was born into Community of Christ.
Okay.
My grandparents went here. My aunts and uncles went here.
All went to Graceland.
Yes.
Okay.
My mom went here. I mean, that was kind of like the determining factor because my mom went here and played softball. So I was like, okay, well, now that they want me
here and playing softball.
Yes.
Now.
So I was like, now that they want me for softball, it kind of really made the decision easiest to come because I was like, my mom did it. No, I get to like kind of be like her, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I was born to the church. Like, my grandma played piano at church, went to church every Sunday.
Gotcha.
But as I kind of got older, we kind of like started to go less and less. But just because it was kind of hard for us to go and sit through services because our church is super small in San Antonio because we had the twins. So we had Audrey and Addison Cole and the Cole family. And then once Audrey and Addison left because they were their last kids, it went down like significantly.
Sure.
Like,
right.
They were kind of like our people. Like, we were in the children's choir together, everything. And it was always the Farrells and the Coles. Are they at church? We kind of made up.
And then after
us,
they came here a year before you. Then,
yes.
Right.
Yeah. So once that kind of happened, it was harder kind of to go every Sunday because our church was so small. Like, we didn't have that many speakers. We didn't do whatever. So I kind of started going to a different church. So, I mean, I was still Community of Christ, but then I just started attending a different church.
Where there were
and
more kids and things, I assume.
Yes, to do more stuff with the kids because I was the only kid at my church. Kid. I mean, I'm still 18, but we had no youth. Still
18,
but still a kid. Yeah.
I understand.
But yeah, and then went to church camps every summer. So we have Camp Cienito, and that place is so special to me, and I think to a lot of the people from Texas that go there. It's just like family. It's truly life changing, just like Spec is, and I'm so grateful to have that experience through Community of Christ because I don't think my relationship with God would be the same without it. And so I think it's so special and important to have in my life.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of similar for me. I was never a member of Community of Christ, but my mom and now stepdad were like very heavily involved with it. So I kind of just grew up in Community of Christ.
Okay.
And back home we call it Camp Wakanda. That's what it's called. And when people hear that, they're like, oh, Marvel's Black Panther.
Right. Where is that located?
So it's kind of Racine, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the official name? Camp Wakanda?
I mean, I don't think it's the official name, but the people that have been there for years and years know it as Camp Wakanda.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
And so you're just going to camps and things like
Yeah,
that.
just
connected
reunions.
And then you went to spec. You got
Yeah, yeah. So I had like junior high camp, senior high camp.
Yeah.
And then each summer we would have 2 reunions.
Okay.
And then spec, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think I've been to both of your campgrounds. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cool. So I know your first year students, and you might you've already mentioned this a little bit, but do you have any other additional plans after you graduate? I mean, you know, is that too far away?
I mean, I've always wanted to go on like a mission trip. So I kind of wanted to figure out like if Community of Christ did mission trips, like where we'd go, all that, go someplace forward and kind of help like the people in the communities out and stuff like that. I think that's definitely one thing I really want to do. It's on my bucket list that I really want to do.
I think there are opportunities to do that. You might have to sort of invent your own opportunity. The church used to have a program called the World Service Corps, and it's not really up and running anymore, but it doesn't mean you can't do some things creatively like that. So yeah, cool. And you mentioned obviously learning how to fly and doing all those things. Yeah. And continuing, even going to nursing, the School of Nursing down in Independence too. So sort of, but yeah. You want to follow in your dad's footsteps, like to be a doctor? Or?
No.
Okay.
My dad he spent 20 years in the Air Force, and he was a flight surgeon. So he flew like in the back of F-16s and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
So I think that is kind of part of what it comes from.
Yeah.
Also, when I saw Top Gun Maverick for the first time, that really
good movie.
It is a
That's been my favorite movie.
Yeah,
it really is a good movie.
I think we talked about that before too.
Yeah,
when they were talking about.
Cool. Yeah. Do you have any hopes for the church in the future? I mean, I again, it says it's like, I don't know if that's too broad a question, or if there was something you wanted to tell the current church leadership. Is there something you want to say to them, or?
I don't think there's anything I want to say. I think there's just a big difference between like the young adult life here at Graceland and like where everybody's involved, and there's a really high, young adult participation and people in Community of Christ and participating, and even new people that aren't Community of Christ, like coming to our things, because people just grab their friends and head to Afterglow or something like. It's so easy, but I think when we go back home, it's a lot harder because there's not really as many young adults to work with and, all that. So I think just getting more young adult recognition, and I think people are already working on it. Like Humberto, he goes to our, he was our delegation leader for spec and everything.
Okay.
And so he's been kind of helping us out, and he's helped Christian out a lot too.
Yeah.
I know Christian's trying to do a lot with that. And we're actually having a young adult retreat in Texas for kids like who have graduated out of camps but still kind of want like the camp feel. So we're doing like a young adult retreat. So for the first time. So that's something super exciting that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, but I just want to keep like the young adult and even younger, because there's no babies, there's no toddlers, there's no young kids in my church. So it's like, how are they supposed to go to camps and experience what I've had and like the life-changing moments I've had at those camps if they're not even going to church?
No, that's a really good thought. I mean, it's like, I think sometimes we have to think outside the box, but I don't know where that means.
Where is the box?
No, where's the box, and where are the kids that go in the box? That's sort of weird, but
yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I don't think I could have said it any better, but I think my hopes are just really encouraging the youth to serve, especially people our age, because eventually, like, we will be the only ones left who are able to serve. So we have to start learning how to lead now, if that makes sense.
No, I think it does. And I think, for people in my generation, I think we've got to start sharing the good news that the church has. I mean, for me, the enduring principles and even the basic beliefs are really solid and make sense in the world that we live in today. It's just that I'm not sure we get the word out enough. And, I don't know.
Well, I think also because like the way our church is so structured and like our services and what we do, I think like sometimes when I'll like bring my friends to church, I think a lot of them think it's like not like a chore, but it's like we're going through these because we have to, and they're not as like personable, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like if you haven't been going, like you kind of won't like understand, I guess, unless you like kind of grew up in the church. So I just feel like like in order to experience God, like you need the summer camps and stuff.
Mhm.
And church helps it grow, but I feel like summer camp is kind of where you really find that true meaning of like family, love, and God, and like what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
No, and camps are the backbone of a lot of our children and youth and young adult ministry. So is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything about Graceland, the church, your future? Have we done a good job covering all that?
I think so.
I think we did.
All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate you both being here today, but also being our co-host this year.
Yeah.
So, now it's your job to go out and find some other students that are going to sit with us and talk to us. So that pretty much wraps things up for this episode of Coffee in the Swarm. So thanks for listening. This is Mike.
And Levi.
And Aliyah.
All right. Signing off until next time. Thank you.
Thank you.